Okay, folks, another review. This is a more light-hearted film than what I normally review. But my friend Danielle Peterson, a.k.a. Danielle Gill, requested it. And it's been a long time because I've had this movie sitting on the shelf for over a year. 2007, this movie came out. I was 20 years old. It was shot the year that I graduated high school, 2006, in Vancouver, British Columbia. Hot Rod, Adam Sandberg as the main lead character, named Rod Kimball, a wannabe stuntman. And I got a lot of thoughts on this film, and my wife watched it with me, and we agreed on the review. I'm still fighting a cold, so I apologize. This movie has an 87-minute runtime. It's the directorial debut of Akiva Schaffer, and I feel like this movie is playing off of the kind of dry humor, very specific select humor of the guy that wrote the Napoleon Dynamite movie, Gentlemen Broncos, which I've never seen, Nacho Libre, more recently reviewed film that I've done on the channel here. It came out a couple of years after Napoleon Dynamite, which I think came out in 2004, and it came out a year after Nacho Libre. I felt like this film was kind of playing a lot off of that. And then I delved into it. This movie was not a success. It had a $25 million budget, and it bombed at the box office. It only made $14.4 million and was pulled from theaters after only 68 days. So, that being said, it makes sense. This was written by Pam Brady, which I did not really dig deep into who she is, but she originally wrote this film specifically for the Rod character to be played by Will Ferrell, and it was an R-rated movie for sure. It was going to be pretty rough. And then Lorne Michaels, basically they sat on it, and he had said they needed to do something with the script, and Ferrell wasn't going to be attached. So then they rewrote the script without him to be more focused with offbeat, surreal style humor. This movie was filmed in Vancouver, British Columbia, and I kept leaning over to my wife saying, this looks like Canada or like somewhere deep in the Midwest or upstate New York. And lo and behold, I was right. Beautiful British Columbia. Anyway, it had a soundtrack written by Trevor Rabin, the guitarist for the 70s rock band Yes, and it also featured heavily the 80s Swedish Euro metal hair band Europe. So, and at first I thought the movie was a period movie taking place in the 80s, but it was not. But it kind of felt like they were stuck in a time warp, kind of like that movie Napoleon Dynamite. That movie could have taken place in the 80s, but it was just a time warp in Idaho, and so too with this film. This movie, Adam Sandberg was quoted as saying that he expected the film not to do well at the box office, and he said that if it was looked back as a cult classic later on, like Billy Madison, he would be happy, and he was right. It failed at the box office. They also toned down the R-rated script written for Ferrell, and I think Michaels saw the success of Dodgeball, which was rated PG-13, and that had a $20 million budget and grossed $168 million. So they thought maybe with a wider viewing audience, they'd make more money. So then they dumbed the script down. It was, let me see, Sandberg was quoted as saying, he wasn't associated with the film rewrites, but he said that they for sure dumbed down the script outside of the Ferrell script that was written. So they, I don't know, like, my wife and I enjoyed it and we laughed out loud, but it just, to me, wasn't like a great comedy classic like a lot of the other movies of the 2000s were. So IMDb gives this movie 6.7 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes, 39%. Critics did not like it. Google users are higher, 74%. And I and my wife were both in agreement on a 3 out of 5 rating. It was good. We laughed, but it's not a classic. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. There's the humor is just so stupid, which I think it's supposed to be, and maybe it is. I did read that it has become more of a cult following film. It just wasn't the best movie that I've seen. I liked it, but it wasn't like pushing me over the top where it's like, yes. And that's all that I really got to say. It was fun, but it didn't have that wow factor for me like some of those other movies. So that's my review. Hot Rod. Check it out. Let me know if I'm way off base here and I'm missing the mark and this movie deserves better than the 3 out of 5 that we have given it. Until next time, we will see you then.